Out of what crypt they crawl, I cannot tell. But every night I see the rubbery things, black, horned and slender with membranous wings. They come in legions on the north wind's swell, with obscene clutch that titillates and stings, snatching me off on monstrous voyagings to the gray worlds hidden deep in nightmare's well. Over the jagged peaks of Thuck they swell, heedless of all the cries I try to make, and down the nether pits to that foul lake where the puffed shuggots splash in doubtful sleep. But ho, if only they would make some sound, or wear a face where faces should be found. Hello? If you don't know who I am at this point, then what fucking rock are you living under? I've been asked here for this specific video to read a scary story. Now I know reading any long-winded story would take too long. It would bore the shit out of everyone, and my speech skills aren't the best, so I thought I'd do one that is very short, simple, and to the point, and more psychologic than cookie-cutter horror. The story that I am going to read to you is called Azathoth by Howard Phillips Lovecraft. I hope that me reading this to you all while you're either relaxing after a long day of work or school, isolating yourself from the outside world, or if you're someone like me who's just a lonely hermit who spends most of his time looking out the window and crying while he masturbates, I hope this is a nice change. So without any further ado, let's read the story. When age fell upon the world, and wonder went out of the minds of men, when gray cities reared to smoky skies tall towers grim and ugly, in whose shadow none might dream of the sun or of spring's flowers meads, when learning stripped earth of her mantle of beauty, and poets sang no more save of twisted phantoms seen with bleared and inward-looking eyes. When these things had come to pass, and childish hopes had gone away forever, there was a man who traveled out of life on a quest into the spaces whither the world's dreams had fled. Of the name and abode of this man but little is written, for they were out of the waking world only, yet it is said that both were obscure. It is enough to know that he dwelt in a city of high walls where sterile twilight reigned, and that he toiled all day among shadows and turmoil, coming home at evening to a room whose one window opened not on the fields and groves, but on a dim court, where other windows stared in dull despair. From that casement one might see only walls and windows, except sometimes when one leaned far out and peered aloft at the small stars that passed. And because mere walls and windows must soon drive to madness a man whose dreams and reads much, the dweller in the room used night after night to lean out and peer aloft, to glimpse such fragments of things beyond the waking world and the grayness of tall cities. After years he began to call the slow-sailing stars by name, and to follow them in fancy when they guiled regretfully out of sight, till at length his visions opened to many secret vistas whose existence no common eye suspects. And one night a mighty gulf was bridged, and the dream-haunted sky swelled down to the lonely watcher's window to merge with the close air of his room and make him part of their fabulous wonder. There came to that room wild streams of violet midnight glittering with dust of gold, vortices of dust and fire swirling out of the ultimate spaces and heavy with perfumes from beyond the world. Opiate oceans poured there, litten by suns that the eye may never behold, and having in their whirlpool strange dolphins and sea nymphs of irremembrance deeps. Noiseless infinity eddied around the dreamer and wafted him away without even touching the body that leaned swiftly from the lonely window. And for days not counted in men's calendars, the tides of far spheres bear him gently to join the dreams for which he longed, the dreams that men have lost. And in the course of many cycles they tenderly left him sleeping on the green sunrise shore, a green shore fragrant with lotus blossoms and stared by red camelots. That's how the story ends. What you can gather from it is that sleep paralysis is quite the fucked up thing. And even more so than this, a lot of Lovecraft's stories have inspired a great many things in culture today, whether it be horror movies such as John Carpenter's The Thing, or heavy metal bands like Morbid Angel. His influence is everywhere and anywhere, and dozens upon dozens of authors, artists, and such keep continuing on his legacy and the mythos that he created back in the 1920s and 30s. Would you want to encounter one of these cosmic horrors or one of these eldritch gods from his worlds? I know I wouldn't. What sort of dreams do you have when you go to sleep? Do you dream of your own personal heaven? Or are you someone like me, who is beriddled by endless nights of nightmares? Nightmares of loss, among other things. During this time of the year, majority of nightmares all come to life, and rather than shove them away to be discarded like trash or a 50-cent hooker, why not celebrate them? Some nightmares can even be great inspiration to make the most splendorous art. Which will you choose? Hide from your nightmares or celebrate them?